Today's tournament is draft.
Yep.
For those that did not watch yesterday, we're going to talk about exactly what draft is. Do we have the video ready?
We do have the video.
For what to explain draft. So let's really quickly run through that, and then we'll talk about it a little bit right after.
In draft, players pick cards from 5 packs and try to assemble the best deck they can. Players are only able to select 2 cards from what they see. Then they are given another randomly generated set of cards, this time with 2 cards fewer. This process continues until players have chosen 12 cards, and then a new pack begins. In each of the packs, only one hero may be chosen. If a hero is chosen and another hero is offered to the player in a later pack, that hero will be grayed out and cannot be drafted. If no hero is chosen until the end of the pack, the player will be offered a random hero that they must take. Players draft through the 5 packs and pick the best cards they can. Then the players build a deck out of the cards they have drafted.
So the thing to note about draft is simply that when you're drafting, can you draft more than one colors, and how many colors do you want?
You could draft as many colors as you want. Yesterday we saw a guy with all 4 colors.
Almost made top 8.
Almost made top 8, yeah. Or you could go with kind of the consistent, stable route, 2 colors. We see a lot of players going 3 colors. It just really comes down to what you're feeling like, what cards are offered to you. So there's no hard and fast rule.
So Yol probably will start drafting in just a few minutes now. It should start at 9:45, so we're about 2 to 3 minutes away.
Yep.
But before we start drafting, let's talk a little bit about what's to look for when he's drafting. So, for example, the heroes that you pick, the colors, will often determine what colors you want to see in the future packs. So if you draft a red hero, you want to see the best red cards.
Yeah.
And maybe it's good to explain to the viewers what are some of the best cards and what they do.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, for example, Swim, let's do each color, and let's talk about the most powerful cards in each color.
Most powerful cards in each color.
And we'll talk about what they do and that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, so red has just really powerful early game heroes. Yesterday we saw Bristleback and Axe do extremely well, just very, very stat-heavy heroes.
That guy right there, Axe.
Yeah, that guy right there.
Axe has an ability for 6 mana called Call, where he can fight the 3 units in front of him.
All at once.
All at once. Very strong card. Also, the number 1 card in red called Time of Triumph. Can you tell me what that does?
Time of Triumph, extremely powerful, 8 mana drop, but it will buff all of your heroes on that lane with +4 of basically every keyword in the game, and that's just a ridiculously powerful late game card. Red, most of what you're going to see in red is very strong cheap units. Bronze Legionnaire at 2 mana, which you guys saw in the tutorial, as well as Stonehall Elite. You'll see those much more commonly, and they have a huge ability to snowball a game.
So if our guy Yol drafts a red deck, he will try and be very aggressive early on in the game.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next color, green. That's something that he likes to draft, so maybe he'll draft that one. We played that tutorial.
Yep.
Green is a very much a buffing, helping your creeps out deck.
Yep. Stay alive.
Yeah. So we saw Arm the Rebellion. We saw Lycan. Those are draft.
Draft is on.
Let's just get into
it. So.
Oh, and he sees red and green already. Spring the Trap and Selfish Cleric.
All right.
So you don't have to pick a hero early on if you don't think the hero is good.
He might go okay.
He's
going
trying to choose between.
He doesn't
these 2.
like Bloodseeker, so he's not picking it.
Yeah.
So typically the idea with draft is early on you just want to pick the best quality. And there's Bronze Legionnaire. You want to pick the best quality of cards and not kind of decide on colors for the first pack or pack and a half. So
Spring the Trap. That's a red card that allows you to play 2 centaurs into any lane. Those centaurs are 4/8, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
Very good red card.
Great start for red so far.
Yeah, lots of good creeps.
If you're Yoel, you're thinking, okay, I'm definitely running at least one red hero, with the option of maybe going green or black. Looks like he's picking up more green here.
That card, Intimidation, very strong. Lumi, you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, Intimidation allows you to push your opponent's unit or hero away to a different lane. You could use it on your hero as well. We saw actually Life Coach pushing one of his hero to a different lane to defend. But kind of a complicated card as well, but you can see that he's really just not picking up any hero, and he's going to be offered a random one that he has absolutely no control over.
He didn't pick the Mazzy, which means he's looking for a red or a green hero, something high power. We got Hyped with us.
Hey, guys.
Ooh, who's got Rix?
Rix.
Yeah, Rix is basically unplayable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And why is
I'm a
that?
fan of Rick's.
What-
I've
what-
Personally,
I'm
I'm
a
a
fan
fan
of
of
Farvran.
I've tried to make them work because it's
Okay.
like I was able to take advantage of the rapid deployment, and I thought I was doing good, and then my opponent just equipped a Horn of the Alpha because my Ricks kept feeding gold
So
the entire
what
game.
Rix does is he's got a very weak stat line, but he does have rapid deployment, so he comes back every single turn when he dies.
Yeah, instead of coming back every other turn
Yes.
when
Yeah.
another hero dies. So-
Exactly.
Okay, looks like he is really on the red and green train here,
Yeah.
as he's mostly just sticking to those cards.
Hyped, what do you think about the start so far? I mean, we've got a lot of good main deck cards for
So
red
Spring
and
the
green.
Trap is huge.
Mhm.
Bronze Legionnaire is great, but
Hmm.
when you're low on cards, you value those high value cards more. So that Spring the Trap is already, he's like, all right, I'm going red for sure, even if it's the Keef at this point.
Could be
And
going for a tricolor here.
You see him passing up heroes because he wants those high quality cards. All his cards are very high quality on the right.
Yep. But he's going to need good heroes.
Okay.
Oh, Abaddon.
Well, he's definitely in green.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pick up Abaddon here as a good green hero?
I'm not a fan of Abaddon, but this late into the pack, with the decent green cards, it's obviously a hard choice for him. The
Yeah.
main problem with Abaddon is this card is just a little 2 mana card. It's a low value card, and it requires good targets. So say you get against an opponent that doesn't even have anything to purge, you feel really bad.
Yeah, it's basically a little bit better than Farvran. We should talk about the basic heroes. There's one of each color, Farvran being the green basic hero, and they all just do kind of like below average things for kind of what heroes of the color typically represent, but they're still totally fine choices for, you
Yeah.
know, if you kind of don't have anything better to run, and you can automatically fill them when you're building your deck.
Yeah,
And
the-
Abaddon never dies. So if you have a bunch of high, expensive creeps like a 5 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana, 8
Oh.
mana, then you pick the Abaddon. So he'll probably want some big creeps here.
Ooh, I think
Magnus
he's
is
yeah,
Ooh.
he's
pretty
regretting
much
it.
strictly better.
So because he picked Abaddon, Magnus is now grayed out. But I think he would have much rather had
Second
Magnus.
Another Rix.
You saw him pass over an okay blue card for some awful black
Ooh.
cards, so we know he's
Like
eliminated
him.
blue completely. Probably looking for a tricolor here though.
Yeah.
2 ganks, Ironfog Goldmine, and even Assassin's Apprentice means he's going at least 1 black.
Yeah, this is actually where we see, because those are some very high quality black cards, but since he didn't snap pick them, I think he might be thinking of eliminating black.
Really?
But they're all very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 double Goldmine, even Keenfolk Turret, pretty good draft card.
Yeah, Pick Off and Iron Fog are constructed playable, but Keenfolk gives you a little bit more value, which is a little bit better in draft.
Not
And
going
with-
for the Keenfolk.
Yeah.
Or not?
I say Pick Off. Oh, he goes for the Keenfolk.
He's really thinking
I
about
actually
this one.
favor the Keenfolk, but it's very, very close. Yeah.
He's trying to feel it
Yeah,
out.
so you guys can see right there by his mouse.
But he's gone ahead and picked a third green hero. Is this worrisome for Yol?
Well, he can't. He's not gonna play the.
He's not
Ricks.
gonna play Ricks.
Yeah, and Lycan is actually I drove him over in the car,
Mhm.
and we were talking about what he wants to see in the draft, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, you got a lot of blue yesterday, so we'll stay away from blue. We're talking green heroes, but Drow and Omni are really rare, and we actually said, how about a nice Lycan?
Right. Lycan's definitely top tier, one of the top tier green heroes. Just
Yeah.
does a lot for you.
His signature card, the Savage Wolf, very
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, I think we played it in the tutorial. Just kind of grows as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're 3 packs in. We're on the 4th pack. We know he's definitely in green, and he has enough green heroes. Is it time to start picking up a red hero? Pugna is not amazing, but he's definitely playable, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Swim, about Pugna?
I think you might have to be a little bit greedier here. It really comes down to kind of what you want for the rest of the pack. This is not an amazing pack. You could pick the Selfish Cleric and the Intimidation. Pugna is better than Keef, I would say. At this point, you're committed to running something like a Debbie. I like this kind of greedy pick.
Here we go. Is it the meatball time?
With
One of the-
4 blue cards.
One of the benefits of running tricolor is you can be a bit greedier about your hero picks, Hyped, because you know you are casting a broader net. It means that if he sees any good, decent hero from red, green, or
That's a
black,
great point. Yeah.
he'll be fine just kind of picking it later.
Yeah, he's just really picking up solid green cards. Gets after another green hero. I don't think Darkseid will
Yeah.
get picked here.
Yeah, you got to go for red or black here in this case. Although
So
you're,
yeah.
oh sorry,
I'm gonna say, yeah, Darkseer's card is pretty poor. However, he gets a lot of value out of the Surge when you have these big, huge creeps.
Surge is the ability that Darkseid has.
But Yol actually has a nice mid-range curve with a bunch of
So
4
many
drops.
green heroes.
Really
He's just
going.
offer green heroes.
Nothing but
Yeah.
green heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, this last hero he gets offered in this pack will actually be a pretty impactful thing. He has Tidehunter as an option.
Ooh, I don't
Not
know if you want to splash
the
that
best
ball.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And normally, if you have a really strong late game, you can justify Tidehunter. He gets that Ravage on turn 7, then you just press Time of Triumph.
Gonna gamble for the last hero.
Oh,
Sorla.
Sorla.
Not bad.
Oh,
Look at him.
look at that
Thank the
face.
Lord.
He's so happy.
it goes so well with his deck too, because what green does very well is widen the board, and Sorla Khan's signature card is it makes every unit hit the tower for 2 more. So good synergy, pretty much. And you can see that he was extremely
Yeah.
happy.
He's got a lot
about
of
it.
creeps in his deck right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this
Exactly.
low end curve for green is actually really amazing with Sorla as well.
Yeah.
Usually with green, you want to kind of stall and drop that Thunderhide, but now with just a few mid-range units and the ladders, you can just take it out of tower instantly.
So we're looking at the makings of a pretty aggressive deck,
Yeah.
especially with Lycanthrope as well.
Is there any possibility you drop red and just go black green?
Actually, yeah, he's got enough cards he could actually do
Mhm.
it. And all he did find was the spring and the
Oh.
I think you just
Looking
dropped
at
red
it.
at this point.
He's
Second
looking at
Sorla
it.
Khan, man. Let's just go. Let's
I mean,
go aggro.
you don't really need Spring the Trap if you've got 2 Sorlas. Oh, that's
Sorla, I think she gets a lot stronger in doubles for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I
As
think
long as you
Wow.
don't open the game with all ladders in your hands,
Disciple.
then she's good.
Oh, he's looking at this. Disciple Assassin's Apprentice is nasty here.
gank is also great, picking off some weaker heroes.
Yeah, Sorla is just big enough to get those good ganks in. She'll one-shot pretty much any blue hero without dying.
And this kind of goes to show like sometimes your draft just takes a turn. Like early on, we were looking very sold on red, but kind of with the direction that this is going, Spring the Trap kind of being a little bit too late of a drop and finding no good red heroes. Like the makings of this deck have completely changed. Going a little more mid game with Sister.
Trebuchets.
Arm the Rebellion.
Trebuchet.
Oh, he picked
Get
it.
that tower damage.
All right, and that's the draft.
Whoa,
All
he's
right,
rubbing his hands. That is a bit of a scary draft, Hyped. What do you
I'm
think?
liking the Lycan.
Yeah.
And the rest of the minions, yeah.
If you had to rate that draft like out of 10, what are you thinking? I mean, we can see kind of how the
8.5 or 9.
8.5.
Wow,
that's really
no,
nice.
it's very
The
good.
very nice thing about this deck is it's the sort of the deck that can beat anything, which is what you want in
Yeah.
a top 8 situation.
Yeah.
Does it have any weaknesses? Maybe he hits someone with like 2 any cost. That's like all I'd be
Yeah,
scared of.
exactly. One of the reasons aggro works pretty well in draft, if you've got a good build for it, is your opponents often won't have the answers for like area of effect stuff, like at any cost that you mentioned, that really slow down your strategy.
Yeah.
I think the deck might be lacking a bit of late games. I feel like there was a lot of early kind of smaller
Small
creeps,
creeps.
but there was no Thunder High packs or Thunder High alphas or just kind of 6, 7, 8 cost cards. I think he had 1 7-mana tree, the guy that
Yeah.
heals your tower for 7. So I think the deck might struggle if the game goes pretty long.
I would
Yeah.
say the biggest thing with Sorla Khan is you want one of 2 things with her. So she deals 12 damage when attacking a tower. Oh, we're looking at the deck builder here. Great. So Sorla's passive means when she punches tower, she deals 12, which is really powerful. You want one of 2 things with that. You want either mobility, like Rebel Decoy, which he has 4 of, to swap her into the tower, or you want something that can kill a melee creep, like Slay or Pick Off, that kind of punches through. I would say this deck feels like it could have a little more punch through. Like I'd love to see like more slays or more like hip fires, but apart from that, it's
I
looking
remember
very good.
yesterday we were saying the nice kind of sweet spot for creeps that you want to have in a deck is maybe like 8, 10, but we're looking at this deck and we're seeing 17 creeps
Yeah.
right now.
This is a much more aggressive deck,
Mhm.
and notice that he didn't play all 5 of the hero that he drafted. He has dropped the Rix, which was the first hero he picked up, and instead he's playing Debbie, which is currently occupying on the first slot. You can see on the top right corner of the screen. And Debbie is also a very aggressive black hero. When she hits the tower, she hits for 2 more. So she's going to hit for 9.
It's like a discount Sorla.
Discount Sorla, poor man Sorla.
Yeah,
So
I
this
love
is this deck is super aggressive.
It's actually a really interesting choice whether you start a Sorla over a Riley, because it's right on the line where there are a few heroes that Sorla lives against, like say a Beastmaster and trades with, versus something like a Chen that has 9 HP, whereas Sorla only does 8 and Riley does 9 with her ability.
Right.
So it's a really interesting choice.
So what Hyped is referring to is at the upper right of the deck builder, you can see the hero deployments. Right now we have Debbie, Lycan, and Sorla in the first 3 slots. Those are going to open at the start. And then you've got Abaddon, the green hero, coming in after that for round 2. And then the second Sorla in round 3. And it's a major deck building decision which order these come out in.
Yeah.
So I got a noob question here. So why don't you always just put your hardest hitting hero all the time? So why don't you just start with your 3 black hero who hits way more than Lycan and Abaddon here?
It actually is sometimes viable.
Yeah.
In this situation, he's looking at his early curve, and say he gets a few 3-drops.
Rebel decoys.
Yeah, it lets you spend them all on turn 1.
Right.
Get you that tempo.
So you want the ability to cast your green and black cards.
Exactly.
Okay. So now you also have to build your item deck. You have a minimum of 9 cards. So he's thinking about how much gold can my deck make, and what, if I want to put really expensive items or really cheap items into those slots.
He gets a lot of benefit from that Book of the Dead because he has the Assault Ladders, the Arm of the Rebellion,
Oh yeah.
and more things as well, right? So did he get the Disciple as well? So when he presses that book, all his little 2/2s could potentially do 6 damage or more to the tower.
Ooh, is he going to cut 1 Intimidation? Intimidation, if this is a 2-of, it's a very key card in his deck, particularly. A large win condition. You can kind of scare an opponent's hero to a different lane and block them out of casting or blocking there.
And also great for Sorla, too, because you want Sorla to be hitting the building. So if you can maybe intimidate something out of the way of Sorla.
I got to say, I'm a
Push
fan
really
of 2 Intimidation here.
Yeah, I always used to always do 1. I started playing against people 2, and it's actually just very scary.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards, again, it's a good card to have, and when you're ahead, but if you're behind, it could give you that comeback potential with a good, you rely on RNG when you're behind a little bit, but it's a good card now.
Oh, he's locking
Alright,
it
he's
in.
done.
Ends
And
up
this
taking
is
out
the
the
deck.
Iron Fog Gold Mine at the very end. I think he realized he wasn't really going to be
Yeah.
making gold, and there's not much he was going to do with it anyway. So, yeah.
Plus, he had
Ooh.
all those low end creeps. He would rather play those creeps first on
For sure.
turn 3.
For sure.
Yoel's here. Yoel, you wanna have a seat? Come here, man. Let's talk about the decks a little.
If we could, Bruno, pull up the deck list, if that's possible. I don't know if that's available right now, but if that can, that would be really helpful to talk about the cards as we see them on screen.
For sure, yeah.
Yo, how do you
Yeah.
feel about your deck? Is this better than the 2 decks you drafted yesterday?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I think it's. I don't know if too many assault ladders are too many. That's the only issue I can see. But I think the deck is very good. Like,
Yeah, we like it.
yeah, it has such an efficient low curve, which
Mhm.
works so well with the Debian 2 Sorla cans, that I think, I think it could be really good actually. It doesn't have anything to clog up the deck really. I even ended up cutting a gold mine, which I think I've never done in my entire life. That's an interesting new perspective.
Makes sense though.
Yeah, and I think it works super well with, I have 4 rebel decoys,
Yes.
which means whenever I have Sorla Khan and a green hero there, I can always play that and swap it out to have 3 attacks. So I think there's a lot of synergy in my deck, and it's very aggressive. I think there's a lot of draft decks out there, like my Zeus decks yesterday could never beat this deck like in a million years. It would just crumble before you could set up for mana 7 or whatever.
Can you talk through your drafting process? Because it looked pretty bad, right? You were having a lot of green
Are
heroes.
you saying my drafting process is badly?
No. The cards that it was offered to you, it looked kind of rough until you saw the last Sorla, and then you saw another Sorla. So
That was kind of big, yeah.
yeah, mentally, what like, are you worried at any point like this deck?
I was worried. I was worried that I was not going to open enough black heroes. You don't need that many because I really think that Deb is pretty good as a card. Or like, I think it's the best basic hero personally because I think her card is very efficient and she can do a lot of damage trade against a lot of other heroes early. So there's not as much pressure of getting good black heroes, but I definitely wanted it. It makes the deck so much better. So I was a little bit worried, honestly. I started with red, so I wouldn't have minded getting a red hero to splash the spring, the trap, etc. I had a super close decision whether I should take Massey or not. But I dislike green-red as an archetype pretty heavily. So I didn't, and I had a lot of green cards at that point already, so I didn't really want to take it. And I guess I got kind of, I don't know. I'm glad that I didn't take the Massey because I may have made other picks because of that later on. It kind of worked out. Yeah. What do you think about the deck? Do you think it's good?
I think it's pretty good. I think your only weakness is kind of like you mentioned, where if you open the game with all assault ladders, and that's why you cut the Iron Fog too. That's the one way you could kind of lose.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know what kind of decks would you be afraid of?
I guess I would be afraid of tons of interaction, like another black deck with pickoffs and hip fires, things that deal damage directly, to kind of deal with my heroes without actually being in combat with them. I think that could be tough.
That's right. So you want to avoid combat and just hit the tower.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. I don't want to really sit in front of a big red hero and try to fight. I don't think that's where I want to be.
I wanted to ask you too about your decisions around the choosing which heroes would go out for deployment.
Yeah, that was kind of difficult. I realized I have a lot of black cards early, and so I definitely want a few black heroes, especially with all the assault ladders. If I start with them in my opening, I kind of need more black heroes, not only to be able to play all of them, but also to play it kind of in the right lane prospectively. Like, if I want to play it in the last lane, maybe I can play it from the first lane and then play another thing in that lane to get the full value. And that gets easier if you have more black heroes starting out. And then I need to start with a green hero, and that should almost always be Lycan, because it makes it so that your creeps kill your opponent's creeps, which is a big deal when you have heroes that you want to get through, like Debbie and Sorlikon. And I also need a green hero to be coming in next, because I have tons of green 4-drops. I think I have 3 Selfish Clerics, of course the Savage Wolf from Lycan, Steel Strength and others, yeah. So that's kind of where I went. I could have put another green hero last, but I feel like you get more options by dividing them up. So you're not forced to put your hero in a specific lane. For example, if I started with green, green, black, I would have almost been forced to put the green hero in a black lane if I had the green hero coming in
For sure.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and your opponent kind of knows you're probably going to do that.
Yeah, it just gives up a lot of free information, and it makes you less flexible too, which is big. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, we are going to have the top 8 Swiss round officially begin with you playing against Nyman. So we don't know what Nyman drafted, but Nyman knows what you drafted. But honestly, at this point,
I don't think it matters.
yeah, it really comes down to the play.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
Yeah,
how well
I
you do
think
there.
so.
Yeah.
He can see I was greedy in my draft and got lucky.
Got rewarded.
Maybe he will tilt a little bit extra because of that. Maybe it's actually to my advantage. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
And
Alright.
just to cover that today, we will be watching all the games sequentially, so
sure.
we won't be missing anything. We'll be following Yol first step.
Yeah. That's
Well,
gonna be cool.
We are going to take a short break, and when we're back, we're going to be quarterfinals round 1 of the top 8 with featuring Yo Larsson versus Nyman. So it should be a very good match. And good luck, Yo. Let's
Thank
see if
you.
you can go all the way.
Yeah, good
That'd
luck.
be nice. That'd be nice.
We'll see you in a bit, guys.